the salaries and the benefits, we have the teacher's contract that's already been decided.
Correct.
So we have the 7 of 8 meet and discuss. There's a Me Too clause in there, so there are some things that we have some wiggle room, but not, I don't know how much wiggle room.
And I don't know where that Me Too clause came from, and it should be eliminated. Because the Me Too is bullshit.
Actually,
Me Too. You know, what's Me Too? I mean, the city of Erie, if you're Act 93, you get $1,000 for a raise. If you're making $100,000, you get $1,000. If you're making $40,000, you get $1,000. This Me Too is what's going to cause us to go bankrupt. Me Too is nothing. You want to negotiate? Come on in and negotiate. I'm sick of this. We're just going to just ride it.
Like the Me Too actually is helping us because it's the benefits piece.
Right, it
We're
allowed
paying the
us
higher
to change their
deductibles.
benefits to the
I think that's what you meant.
The benefits package.
Yeah.
I
It
won't
is
say I waived the
helped us.
salary.
It's not related to salaries. The Me Too is effective related to their benefits, meaning when the teachers' benefits changed and their deductibles went up, the other agreements' deductibles changed and already went up.
So we can't move anybody over to the exchanges. That's something the state exchanges that are out there, we are strapped with our budget. So we've got they've got a Me Too clause in right now, we are negotiating. Are we able to move groups over into the state exchanges and not have to pay those benefits? I mean, you see private industry doing it to cut costs and save money. No longer offering insurance to their employees. I mean, it's happened to a lot of people. So is that an option, and would that save us money? Again, maybe not having to raise taxes and not having to cut programs.
Our cafeteria workers, you know, and most of them were eliminated because we subbed it out, what, 15 years? Correct me if I'm wrong, but they were paying 10% of their premium. You know, and everybody else was paying 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and we're clapping our hands. You know, if one faction of our employees are paying 10%, hello, now I'm a big fan of Me Too. Who's at paying 10%? Me Too. If one pays 10%, then everybody should pay 10%. You know, I mean, if the Me Too works, if it works for me, but if it doesn't work for me, I'm sorry.
I think these are just the suggestions and the discussion that we need to have, because you're talking about putting everything on the table. This is everything. It's the beginning of everything. So how do we go about then getting the information on, okay, we can't, testing isn't going to be someplace we can find any money. I don't know, and this is where we need other input, programming at the schools. We don't have librarians, and so your children might come home and say, yeah, I have a librarian. No, they have a volunteer or they have a teacher. And if you don't think librarians are important, that's someone with an MLS degree we do not have. Those are the people that teach our children how to do research. How important is research? Get on board docs, get on the internet. This is things that we need to teach our children. So those line items that might not seem very important because it's a librarian, anyone can check out a book, there's more to it. So we need a lot of information on these programs to make sure we can say, sure, we can cut that. Because there's more to it than just, it's seemingly someone standing behind a desk checking out books. And that's just one example. We don't have any of them anymore. So there's going to be someone else that's why he just can't come up with someone to say, can we cut this program? So for the other board members that are here, you need to come up with something. It is our job, because we have to make this decision. So it is our job to research the programs and what our school has, and ask these people out here, where do we go? So we don't affect the children and have people not move here, they're going to move to Fairview.
I agree with you, Ms. Clinton. And that's why I requested some information about the programs. And maybe we can get, we could be enlightened, educated by Dr. Greenaway as to the programs, get input from the teachers, get input from the building principals, assistant principals, to see where our priorities are. What is the district's priority right now? What is the district's mission for 16, 17, and 18? A 3-year projected plan.
I know the past few years, there hasn't been, when I first came aboard 6 years ago, there was special meetings to do the budget and such. In the last couple of years, these guys did the heavy lifting, they just did the cutting and we just went through it. But I kind of get the feeling that this board would be more interested in looking at the line items and get down to what we really see and where it's at.
We have to, because if we're gonna justify a tax increase and say, you know, yeah, we are gonna, maybe not to the above the index, but we've gotta be able to say, if we don't do that, this is what our kids are not gonna get. And vice versa, if we have to come out and say, we are gonna cut French, we cut Mandarin, just my example.
Right.
This is why we're doing it,
And-
because we don't wanna have to raise it above the index.
We hate to do it, but it is the administration's job to come to us and say, this is what we feel, that we don't want to cut anything. We all agree, but this is kind of our priority. It's the administration to come to us and say, this is a program we can cut. It will save you X amount of money, but it will cause feedback.
What's the lowest 10% in extracurriculars or programming, if that makes sense? Like, Jack Welch just used to say, okay, the bottom 10 performing people are gone. So what are, maybe that's a starting point for us, what are the things that the kids are no longer doing? And maybe we still have a program in place, or maybe we're paying an advisor or something like that. Can those things that maybe there aren't a lot of interest or the school isn't utilizing, maybe that's a starting point. So we're not affecting the largest, you know, we're not gonna cut football.
Yeah,
So let's,
sure.
But, you know, I almost think we should start off in a budget with no tax increase, and here are the cuts, and here's what we need to add back in. You know, like what can we justify to add back in? Because then we're working at a no increase. This is, in order for this to work, we had to cut, bang, 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 we had to cut $2.5 million. And then you need to prove to us why we need to bring these things back. I think that's the way we should look at it, instead of saying, well, if we just increase taxes, we won't have to cut anything.
We've talked about having another special budget meeting, and I think we need to do that fairly soon. But what if we came back with the three options? No tax increase. Here's how we would recommend how we'd have to get to that. Tax increase to the index. Here's what it looks like in terms of money and cuts, and going above the index, what that looks like, kind of align it with what you saw up here. Would that be something that?
I would very much appreciate that.
Yes.
I think that would be great.
I would like choices.
Because,
I'll be able to see.
you know, this gentleman here cut $8 million. I mean, he's not BSing when he said we were upside down, and we were.
Well,
Crazy upside down.
and my concern is, you know, the things I'm hearing aren't going to get us there. We're beyond little nickel, I call them nickel and dimes, because we've nickel and dimed ourselves in the last 2 or 3 years. We are pretty bare bones here, so.
I think the previous boards, as much as we want to talk about the previous boards, did the hard work. They got building, I mean, all the tough decisions were made by the previous board. And those were the larger numbers. Some of the things that, you know, you asked for a suggestion, you know, is Montessori, which was brought up last time. That's a big ticket item. We got to go after big ticket items. We can't. There's not enough low-hanging fruit left, as you saw in some of these in the program. There isn't low-hanging fruit that says, oh yeah, we can get $2 million just by doing this. It ain't going to exist. You know, you get down to the individual programs, there's going to be a lot of them. There's no doubt in my mind there's going to be a lot of them. Nobody likes to raise taxes, but I don't think anybody wants to cut major programs either. So it's going to be a tough decision. But I would look at the Montessori and also the Learning Center. You know, try and figure out something up there.
Big items,
Let's just-
you know.
Yeah.
Detention program, the detention program.
It's
Wasn't it said 4 years ago that was a ticket item of $350,000?
Yeah, are you talking about the alternative ed program?
That was, I think that was Montessori.
No, alternative ed is even more. It's the actual detention, like Saturday after school, all those things.
Oh,
That 4 years ago was $350,000.
yeah.
Ms. Reese, you're correct, and we already cut that in half. So where it used to be offered, like you mentioned, Saturday detentions, those are only offered every other Saturday now. And we decreased where we used to be multiple evenings a week, that is decreased also.
Can we
Okay, thanks.
Can we blend attention in with sports somehow? that you stay after school, and instead of paying a teacher, you gotta go out and run around the track with the football team?
You know, it's funny you say that, because one of the things they're doing is if kids are getting detention, they're,